Welcome into this edition of the Red Sox Rundown. I am your host, Jack Lautaret. Before we get into any of the latest Red Sox news, Red Sox rumors, I want to remind y'all that we are on Instagram. Our handle is right here at the Red Sox Rundown. And what I'm going to do for you, we did this a few days ago. I'm going to do it again. I will shout out the next 10 people that follow the Instagram on a video next week. So if you want a shout out, go down into the comments. The link will be down in the comments and description. Make sure you give us a follow. The latest Red Sox news, rumors. I'm going to be doing short form content over there as well. You will get it all first on Instagram. So make sure you follow. And if you're one of the first 10, I'll give you a shout out next week. So on today's show, we've got the latest Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rumors. Jim Bowden of The Athletic listed his 10 destinations for Vlad and kind of tore into the Red Sox a little bit and talked about why he doesn't think they're a fit. We'll examine that. We've also got Red Sox injury news on Brayan Bello Kutter Crawford, Masataka Yoshida, and Garrett Crochet and the big three. Their debuts have been announced. We are going to talk about all of that on today's show. But like I said, we are going to start off first and foremost with the latest rumors around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. As we know already, he did not reach a contract extension with the Blue Jays on his deadline of Monday night. He is going to go into free agency, and the Red Sox, by many, have been listed as one of the favorites for the potential superstar. But Jim Bowden, like I said, of The Athletic, wrote today about who he believes are the top 10 teams that are likely destinations for Vlad. And he broke down why he thinks the Red Sox are not a fit. Let's get into some of these quotes. The first one is a good one. It talks about why he might actually be a fit. Fenway Park would be a great fit for Guerrero, who's hit well there, a 1.054 career OPS, and would do serious damage to the Green Monster for many years to come. Boston is reportedly a destination that could appeal to him. However, several potential obstacles could prevent the Red Sox from being a legitimate possibility. We're going to get into all three of those obstacles, and I'm going to break down why I agree or disagree. But before we do that, you let me know. Will Vladimir Guerrero Jr. be on the Red Sox next season? Let me know. Predict it down below in the comments. If you think he will, give me a Y for yes. If you think he won't, give me an N for no. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. I still personally think he will. There is a lot of smoke around this, and where there is smoke, there is usually fire. I think he will be the first baseman for the Red Sox next year, but you guys let me know down below in the comments. So the first point that Bowden made was about Triston Casas, and this one makes sense, and I'll talk about my thoughts here in a second, but he basically talked about Triston Casas, and if Casas has a full healthy season, does it make sense for Vladdy to come to the Red Sox? Here is what Bowden said. He said, first, if Triston Casas were to hit 25 to 30 home runs this year playing first base, it's difficult to see how a pursuit of Guerrero would make sense financially for Boston. And like I already kind of alluded to, I agree to a point. I already had my Casas rant a few videos ago talking about how you should not trade Triston Casas this year because he has the ceiling to be a bona fide superstar, and it is not guaranteed that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to sign. However, Casas does have that ceiling. And if he lives up to that ceiling this year, you can bet your bottom dollar that Triston Casas will more than likely be dealt in the offseason if Vladdy decides to come to the Red Sox. This is something that's been talked about a lot. What happens if Vladdy comes to the Red Sox? What's going to happen with Casas? What's going to happen with Devers? These are all questions that Bowden brings up in this article. And I think that the Red Sox have already shown a willingness to ship out Casas for pitching. Buehler is going to be off his contract this year. Giolito also, although I think he'll probably come back. And then you have not extended Garrett Crochet. So there's no guarantee that you're going to have him after the next few years either. So the Red Sox already showing a willingness to go after starting pitching. If his value is at an all-time high next offseason, if he lives up to the hype that we think he will, I mean, what's there to say that they won't try to get controllable starting pitching again? I certainly think they will. But there's one big contributing factor to this that we have not talked about that I think is a conversation that needs to be had. And the biggest question that we have not discussed around Triston Casas is, does he stay healthy? We can talk about potential, we can talk about ceiling, we can talk about potential trade value in the future, but we're not gonna know if he doesn't stay healthy for an entire season. Last year, and Cora talked about this day in his press conference, last year was kind of a freak accident. It was kind of a freak injury, but it kept him out for a large, sizable chunk of the season. If Casas cannot put together a full season, not only will his trade value stay low, but I don't know if the Sox will be able to trade him at all, because if he's injured again this year, that's 2 straight seasons that he has proven that he cannot stay healthy. So I think the biggest question that comes down to all of this is, again, I think Casas will be at the forefront of trade rumors this upcoming offseason, is can he stay healthy? The next thing that Bowden talks about, and this is probably another one of the obvious ones, especially after all of the drama that's happened over the past few days, what happens with Rafael Devers? And this is another interesting one, but one that I also think, if you've followed the Red Sox, is also a pretty obvious answer. But here's what Bowden had to say. Second, if the Red Sox decide to move Rafael Devers to first base, which they should do after signing Alex Bregman, then that would eliminate them as a Guerrero suitor as well, unless they decide to trade Devers. I'm not even going to bring up the trading Devers conversation of this, because that's ridiculous. And I actually responded to some comments today that were alluding to trading Devers and saying, no, we're not going to trade the face of our franchise, the player that we paid millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to. That's not going to happen. Devers will not be traded. I'm 99% chance Devers is not traded. Here is my prediction. Assuming you move Casas in the offseason, which I think is very realistic if he lives up to the hype, my prediction is Masataka Yoshida gets dealt at some point, or he gets DFA'd. If that happens, I think Rafi will move to DH. I know he says he doesn't want to, but I believe he will. And then Bregman naturally moves to third base. You add a spot for Kristian Campbell at second, Casas gets dealt, and you move Vladdy to first. It works out. Now, there are things that have to happen. Again, Casas has to get traded, which I think will happen. Masa has to get traded or either DFA'd. But if those things happen, it makes perfect sense to just slot Vladdy right into first base. So I don't necessarily believe that what happens to Casas, what happens to Devers really is that big of a deal, because at the end of the day, like we've already kind of alluded to, and like Cora's alluded to, Devers will eventually DH. He will. Before we get on to the third reason why Bowden thinks that Vladdy is not a solid option for the Red Sox, again, I'm going to remind you, hit me up on Instagram at the Red Sox Rundown. The first 10 people to follow, I will give a shout out. I gave a shout out on the very next video after I did this a few days ago. So if you want a shout out on the channel, make sure you give me a follow. Latest Red Sox news, rumors, injury updates, every single thing you could imagine around the Boston Red Sox is on the Instagram. That link down below in the comments and the description of today's video. The third one, and this one kind of grinds my gears. It does. It's understandable, but grinds my gears. The Red Sox are not going to offer the money necessary to land a Rafael Devers. Here is the final quote from Jim Bowden. Third, although the Red Sox reportedly offered Soto a deal of around $700 million, it seems unlikely that Boston ownership would commit to a 12-year, $450 million to $750 million contract on their books, based on their recent history. Oh, man. I'm tired of this. It's understandable, because over the past few years, the Red Sox have not spent money. They've focused on building the farm system. They have not wanted to commit to stars for long terms because they've been burned on contracts in the past. It makes sense. But we are starting to see the inklings. We are starting to see the messages that the Red Sox are beginning to operate once again like a big market team. If you were willing to put $700 million on the table for Juan Soto, you didn't just do that for optics. You were willing to put $700 million on the table for Juan Soto. So I don't understand the argument of, well, I don't know if they're going to be willing to do it. They were for Soto. Now, they didn't land Soto, but Vladdy's the next best option. He is young. He is a superstar. So this argument of, I don't know, based on their recent history, I don't think they're going to be willing to spend. They just almost did it with Juan Soto. They didn't finish the job, but they were willing to do it. Okay? I'm tired of this argument. And Scott Boras of all people, had this comment about John Henry at Alex Bregman's opening press conference. He said he had a conversation with John Henry where he expressed his sincerity and more passion of saying, we're missing something here. that should be here, that has been here, something that is lost. We have a strong intention to return it. Guys, I know that this would have made people roll their eyes a few months ago, but John Henry's back in the saddle. You know, when they first acquired the Red Sox a few decades ago, they acted like a big boy, big market team. When John Henry and the ownership group were rowdy and ready to go, they were ready to invest. They wanted World Series championships. And as of late, they have not done that. But now that we're starting to see the plan unfold with this farm system and having money to make deals, it all makes sense. And after signing Alex Bregman, after getting uncomfortable in signing Alex Bregman, we get this photo from John Henry's wife on IG. John Henry is back in the saddle, folks, and I don't think for very much longer the Red Sox are going to be considered the little brother. I don't think they're the little bro anymore, especially in these conversations. I think they will pony up the money necessary for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. next offseason. You predict it, though. Oh, no, excuse me, wrong one. You guys can predict that one. Will he be on the Red Sox? But this one, though. Are the Red Sox back to their spending ways? I want you to give me a 1 if you think they are. I want you to give me a 0 if you think they are not. I think they are. I think we saw that with the Alex Bregman signing. They were willing to give him 40 years AAV or $40 million AAV when no other team was willing to do that. So at the end of the day, I think they will do it. All right, that's it for the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rumors. Again, I think they're going to sign him. I would be shocked if they won't. We saw the tweets yesterday. He has expressed interest in signing with the Red Sox. I would be shocked if he doesn't. A lot of time left, though, so we'll see what happens. But for now, I think the Sox are back, and I feel good about it. Let's get into some Red Sox news and notes to end the day. Cora had his media availability day. It seemed like he was his last one for the rest of the week. So I don't know. Games are starting up on Friday. So this is probably the most substantial information we're going to get for the rest of the week. First big one was on Brayan Bello and Kutter Crawford. They are both very behind. Obviously, we know they both suffered from some minor injuries, although it sounds like Kutter's might be a little more serious than we think. And they are only throwing softly right now. No hard throwing, no bullpens, nothing like that. I'm not going to hit the panic button yet, but it is certainly concerning that they are not behind. Cora seemed okay about Bello, but still a little concerning. I'm not pressing the panic button, though, just yet. We did get a little bit of an update on Lucas Giolito as well. He did throw today. He's not ready for live action yet, but he is progressing well. It did not seem to be much of an issue at all. So I feel fairly confident that Giolito is going to be ready for opening day. He said he was going to be ready for opening day, so that definitely feels good that you're going to have at least one of your pitchers in the rotation that is dealing with an injury ready for opening day, barring any setbacks. We did get a fairly actually significant update on Masataka Yoshida. There was a beat reporter there that asked a few questions about Yoshida. He threw for the second time today, and what Cora said was, everything is good to go in terms of hitting, in terms of running, in terms of everything. The only thing left, the only barrier for him being fully ready is the ability to throw with his shoulder. He said the hitting looks good, the running looks good, everything looks good. He just has to get more confidence throwing. Today was only his second day throwing, so it seems like he will be ready for opening day, much like the report that we got yesterday, that he plans to be ready for opening day. Garrett Whitlock, Cora said, will be a reliever this year. They are not going to play with him. He will not start at all, so get used to Garrett Whitlock being in the bullpen, which I think is definitely the right move. I think he is deadly in the bullpen. He's going to be a very valuable asset in the bullpen. So Garrett Whitlock, we kind of already knew this, but he confirmed it again today, and and Cora was very adamant. He's like, we're not playing with him. He will be a reliever. Few debuts to talk about, which I'm very excited about. Garrett Crochet is making his Red Sox spring training debut on Sunday against the Blue Jays. I'm looking forward to this, man. I'm excited to see him throw. We don't know what his pitch count's going to be. I don't think Cora specified, but he will be on the bump. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be on NESN, so if you have MLB TV or you're in the local area and you have NESN, you better get your popcorn. You better watch. I'll be watching, and I might make a shorter video on it as well after it happens. And then Friday, the big three, all three, Kristian Campbell, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer will all be playing in their exhibition game on Friday. He actually announced basically the entire lineup, not the order, but who would be playing in the field. But of course, We got the big three playing on Friday. I'm super excited to see it happen. It is just an exhibition game, so it doesn't matter with any of the Grapefruit League stats or anything like that. But it's just exciting to see these guys get at bats. This is the future of the Red Sox. Will any of these three break camp? I'm not so sure, but I'm still excited to see them get meaningful at bats this spring training, and it all starts on Friday. Before we get out of here, let me know, what is your excitement level for the big three? I want you to scale it for me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, I could care less. 10 being, this is the most excited I've ever been about anything in my entire life. I'm at a 10. I'm super excited to see these guys play. These guys are the future of the Boston Red Sox. Kristian Campbell potentially could even break camp this year. I don't think Roman Anthony's going to break camp. I know for a fact Marcelo Meyer's not going to break camp, but Kristian Campbell has a potential to break camp, and that would be very, very exciting. So let me know down below in the comments, excitement level for the big three, scale of 1 to 10. That's it for today's edition of the Red Sox Rundown. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are knocking on the door of 500 subscribers, which would be absolutely amazing. And if you've already subscribed, make sure you share the link, send it to a friend. I appreciate you all so much for watching. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and as always, go Sox.